All right. What's going on, everyone? This is Courtney Rollins back here with the Life and Transitions Expert Podcast. Also, founder and operator of Estate Pro Service and Do REI Deals. Essentially, all those platforms is where we try to help folks who are finding some distress in their space or in their life and helping them come up with solutions so they can generate income or solve some of those problems and or generate wealth, and usually through real estate. And I love these type of conversations, these podcasts, because this is a team sport, and one of the ways that I get better is by finding people who are doing it at such a high level, and that I can aspire to be like, and to pick their brain, as they say, and literally learn and leverage their experience. So I'm excited to have Derek Hankins here today to discuss some of his journey, real estate journey, and some cool ways. You got to stay here, check it out. Some cool ways that he's generating passive income through things that people automatically already doing. So I look forward to that. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the space and say what's up to you, Derek. How's it going, man?
Hey, brother. Nice to be on your podcast, Courtney. It's been being that we just met not too long ago. It's been a great relationship so far, brother, and I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, this is awesome, man. Yeah. So if you can mind, just tell people like about yourself and who you are and how you entered the world of real estate.
Sure. Well, Derek Hankins, as you mentioned, full-time real estate investor out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Buy and hold, fix and flips, short-term rentals, creative finance, and do a little bit of those type of things. I've been doing this since 2007. I am a real big believer in networking with anybody in the space of real estate. So yeah, we love what we do.
Hey, hey, he is not making. He's being a little humble with the history. You heard all those different things he's going into. We can go down any of those routes, but when he talks about networking and connecting, after our initial conversation, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I mean, I had like several folks that you already connected me with has been, I think, going to be very fruitful relationships and hopefully mutually beneficial relationships. So I really appreciate that. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because you do have a few large groups and that you help facilitate and work with. So can you mention to people a little bit about not about what you do there in those areas where you're facilitating spaces where investors and folks across the different boards can learn from each other and grow?
Yeah, absolutely. So um, I am part of a huge real estate network. It's called the Real Estate Wealth Institute, and I've been tapped to handle our Real Estate Wealth Institute for the part of North Carolina, going from all the way from up to Henderson, all the way down to Fayetteville. And we do a meetup once a month, an in-person meetup with a network and chill, and then we do a power breakfast on the neck on that. The Friday is the meet network and chill. The Saturday is the power breakfast to explain to you what we can do for you, or with that networking group. And if anybody wants to, I don't really want to get into the networking group here because I did not let them know that I was going to be on this podcast.
Ah,
So
got
just,
you.
and I didn't even think about that, but I want to make sure that I respect all that. But you'll love the networking group. It's a no cost networking group. We make deals and we do a lot of things, and that's why it works for me. But on the other side of it, I'm out here in these streets creating relationships with realtors, with all types of, wholesalers, anybody that can bring me good deals. And I'm also helping people learn how to do this. And most of the time I don't charge. But because I want to see people excel, so I'm used as a person that you can lean on and say, hey, what do you think about this? So that's what I like to do because real estate is not just a hobby for me.
I appreciate that. You say you've been doing this full time since 2008, you said? 2007?
Yeah, no. I've been flipping houses since 2007, but
Uh,
full time, uh, 19, 18, somewhere around there.
I got you. Okay, that's a pretty amazing right there, though, because not that much. I mean, longevity does speak to having certain principles and some tried and true practices. Now, I
Absolutely.
know people often probably come to you once they hear about what you do, and you said that you do help mentor and you help coach. But if somebody was just watching this for the first time and they've been thinking about other ways to generate income, maybe they read Rich Dad Poor Dad or something. What are some key things you would suggest they start off doing to get their feet wet and to hopefully encourage success on their journey?
Well, one of the things I think is very important is to have a mentor. Um, there's a lot of people out here. The reason that there's so many people out here in the real estate is because nobody wants to listen to someone tell them. They want to get on YouTube and they want to find all these things out that they can do. But even if it's a
Right.
YouTube mentor, you still need someone to tell you, because once you get a one to tell you what to do and what not to do, because when you get a mentor, you get the benefit of knowing what they did wrong. So they can lead you onto the right path and say, okay, you don't want to do that, and this is why. You make your own decisions, but here's what's going to happen. I used to program this called an if-then statement. So the question is, if you do this, then this is possibility for that to happen. So, so yeah, so a mentor is a very important thing. And also not just a mentor, but also learn the craft, and figure out what you want to do. I mentioned the things that I do, but I didn't start off doing all of those. I started off flipping houses. That's all I knew how to do. When the crash hit, I didn't know how to do anything. I had to learn how to pivot. So when I learned how to pivot, I started getting into creative financing and things of this nature, understanding how to do lease options and, subject tos and all those kind of things, which is a great business model. But, then I knew what I wanted to get back to. So I slowly got back when the bank started acting right. I got back into doing what I did. I even had some rentals, and I got rid of my rentals because I didn't want to be a landlord, because I didn't want to talk to the people and hear what they had to say. So I learned that that was not a smart thing to do. But at that time, I didn't know. I just knew what I wanted to do. So now, I have, buy and hold properties and things of this nature, and I do things in different states. But yeah, so I would say mentorship and learning the craft. Start off with what you're good at. And one of the other things is know your limitations. If you know you're not good at running numbers, then you need to keep a calculator with you all the time, or get some kind of software that can help you run the numbers. A lot of times I tell people all the time, you only make money in real estate when you buy. And that's a fact. You can't make money any other way. If you don't buy right, you won't make money in real estate. So knowing your numbers and things of this nature is really well. There's a book that I like to tell people about. I don't even know if you can find it anymore, because I'm just finding out a couple weeks ago that people couldn't find it, but it's called Real Numbers, by Joseph T. Sinclair. It is a book that allows you to, it's no fluff. There's no really reading in the book. It's really just about how to analyze income properties for profit. That book, I have it right here. The book is awesome. The book is really good. Yeah, Joseph T. Sinclair, Real Numbers. And, this book is really, really good, especially for beginners, to show you how to run numbers on every type of property. So you won't be led astray by feelings.
Absolutely, man. A lot of people get started. We live in we're moving from the information age, but that we have access to so much information, and thank goodness for it, because it has made things a little more democratic when it comes to accessibility. But the challenge of that, as you're saying, like, I know Bigger Pockets is a great resource for new investors, but like
Absolutely.
me, I literally I am diagnosed with ADHD, but it's almost, even if you're not, it's like drinking from a fire hose. Every single episode is a different way to
Yeah.
serve people, make money. Everything
Yes.
looks exciting, the shiny object syndrome. So being able to get your education, but finding your actual niche is so important. It's funny you say that about limits too, because I was just listening to, I think it was Brian Tracy's old work, but or maybe well, I'm not sure where it was from. Maybe it was Brian Tracy, but regardless, it discussed how actual having limits can give you more freedom, because when your choices are
Absolutely.
limited, when you are
Absolutely.
focused, you can penetrate more, as opposed to when you're scattered all over the place trying to do
That's right.
everything. And leveraging mentors, leveraging other folks to do the things that might be necessary and stay in your lane is so important. And then you can expand out, like it seems like you've done. So how would you encourage somebody to know that they have the right type of mentor? Because there are a lot of gurus out here, a lot of people
Yeah,
selling,
there's a
a
lot
lot
of
of people,
gurus. So sometimes it is, it's addition by subtraction. So you might go to one. You first of all, uh, going to pay for mentorship is okay. Just know that. But when you find people that's charging these exorbitant amounts, and I'm not saying it's wrong to charge an exorbitant amount for whatever you get, but what you have to know is if you get a mentor, you want to make sure that everything that you and the mentor talk about, if it's a legal process. Now, I do a lot of mentorships just off the cuff. I'm not going to give you a piece of paperwork saying I'm mentoring you and all that kind of stuff. But when you do find someone like that, you do a course or whatever, then what you want to do is you want to make sure it's going to serve you and know what you're going to get from the end of it. And then, are you ready to be actionable? Excuse me. Are you ready to be actionable? Because there's no reason for you to even start real estate or do anything if you just want to keep on kicking tires. You know what I mean? Right. If you want to kick tires, so let me say with this. All right. So if you don't have your credit right, get your credit right. If you don't have down payment, get your credit right, because there's an opportunity for you to buy, so you get gap funding so that you can get a down payment, or you can JV, but you got to know what you're talking about. So, get your credit right, get the learning right, and then start looking for deals. Now, figure out how to do the deals, get a book like Real Numbers or one of those type of books like that, so you'll know what you're talking about. And the most important thing though is don't be in a rush. Do not, you don't have to be in a rush to, I know people who say, all right, so I got this and this, I got to buy a property next week. That's going to get you in a lot of trouble, So what you don't want to be is in a rush. You want to take your time and make sure you understand the nuances. So even with the situation that you do with probate. So I was watching some of your videos and I'm looking at it. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of nuances to this. But I know people who just jump out there. I'm gonna just go do probate. I know a realtor who does probate. He just runs out there and just does this, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know if he knows all the nuances that follow and what you should be doing and how to contact people and do things like this. Like I said, real estate is about networking. No matter what you do in real estate, you have got to network. Probate, you're networking, but you're networking with the owners and those type of people. What I do, I network with realtors, brokers, lenders, all that. But you just got to know how to network.
Well, one question that I have is, I hear you saying, don't rush, and that is, it sounds like invaluable, advice. But then you also have a camp, and I don't think they're really competing, but it may sound like it's competing. But I would love to hear your opinion. The folks are like, you just said take action as well, be actionable. So, like, how do you do the, people say ready, shoot, aim, and go out there and get it done? And how do you like merge, or what is your thoughts on those?
Well, once you get
seemingly opposing concepts.
Yeah. So, and let's just keep it with flipping a house or something like that. So let's just keep it with flipping a house. So if you want to flip a house, you got to first of all build your team. If you don't have a team, there's no point in you out there looking for properties if you don't have a team. Because it's not going to work. You're going to be scrambling and doing all these things, and then you're going to be wasting money. So the process of, finding a mentor to show you how to do certain things and talk you through certain things and talk you off the ledge sometimes, because a lot of times when people start real estate, they get emotional. And I tell anybody I talk to, don't get emotionally attached to any property. I've done it before. And I've been disappointed because I just this is great. Especially when I was new. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to make so much money. But at any rate, so then you take your time and follow your, all this is leading up to, you got to have a system, bottom line. So my system goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm ready to buy. So that's what I'm saying. Don't rush. Don't skip any steps in your process. Now you say, I don't have a process. Well, if you don't have a process, then you're not ready to buy. Bottom line. Real estate is not going anywhere. That deal might have been a good deal, but if you don't have what you need, then it's not a good deal for you. That's when you get someone like Courtney to come in and help you wholesale or do something like that. But you got to learn how to pivot. I tell people all the time, they say, well, what about this property? I say, well, what about the property? Well, is this a good property? I say, for what? You talking about flipping? Are you talking about wholesaling? Or are you talking about buy and hold? What are we talking about? Are you trying to, do some creative financing? What are we trying to talk about? Oh, I didn't think about that. Well, you got to think about that because anytime I get a deal, I have to run down what specific scenario was going to benefit me and what my, what my, what do they call it? What my exit strategy is going to be.
Hmm. Right, and being able to have sounds like being able to have mentors and having
Yes.
that blend of education gives you that system. So your system doesn't allow you to
Absolutely.
sit on your hands and just be,
Right.
analysis paralysis, but it also
Right. Right.
hopefully creates that buffer so that you're not drawing, relying on emotion because we are emotional beings. So if we can
Exactly.
recognize that and interrupt that and get it back to the, the neural cortex and all, we're gonna make some hopefully more informed, better decisions.
Yeah.
You mentioned
Totally.
you mentioned wholesalers a few times, and some people may be relatively new to this page, this channel. That's what I do. But is that one of the ways that you find deals, or how are you finding your deals? You mentioned a
So
couple of things, but
yeah. So I use wholesalers. I have learned that if I work with realtors who work with investors, I
Mhm.
get more deals that way. I have at
Awesome.
least three realtors right now across North Carolina who know what a deal is. Now they're not interested in flipping, why I don't
Mhm.
know, but they're not interested in flipping, but they send me these deals. And when they send me these deals, they already know what I'm looking for, and they'll send me all the information I need to know about the deal first. Then I vet what they say. I don't just go by what they say through
Mhm.
my process. And then when it turns out to be a good deal, then I move on it. You know what I mean? So the reason that you would need a mentor is because somebody needs to help you with the financing. Somebody can tell you because you can call a hard money lender, or I used to use a bank that gave me a construction loan. My credit was good enough to do that, but they stopped on that product, so I
Mhm.
had to move to different ways. You know, um, Shout out to the funding clinic for the reweek, but we'll talk about that another time
Mhm.
also. But yeah, so a mentor will help you with funding because you don't know what you don't know. They'll
Yeah.
help you with, what to make an offer on or how to make an offer and blah, blah, blah. So, part of your team, the realtor, your handyman, your, your contractor, and all these type of people are part of your team and you've got to work together. So if you're trying to do what I do and you can't multitask, you're going to have a hard time.
Uh, so, uh, so as far as being able to build that team, and we focus on the realtor for a moment, any encouraging words or things you can suggest to folks who either maybe are new or just haven't gone down the route of the realtor space and may find that space intimidating? How would you encourage someone to approach a realtor, or how not to approach a realtor, but how would you encourage someone to approach a realtor to help you guys be a part of each other's team and make money and serve?
Very good question. So, realtors are in it to sell you a home. They don't
Mm,
make money unless they sell you a home.
mm,
So when you go in, first of all, they must be knowledgeable about the area that they're in. They could be a new realtor, but they know what no hustle, but they need to be knowledgeable about the area that you're in. They need to know how to tell you what zip codes are moving and all these other type of things.
mm,
Because if you purchase a property, see, most people say, "Oh, I got a property, I'm gonna flip it." Blah blah blah. How are you gonna flip it?
mm,
When was the last time a property was sold for that amount that you're trying to get in that area?
mm,
Was it in that area? How far away was it? These type of things. So when you talk to answer your question, when you speak to a realtor, let them know what you're trying to do. And then when you guys just have more conversations. But before you go to a realtor, you're going to need to know what a deal is.
mm.
Because if they start sending you stuff, see, most people get, excited. Realtors start sending them property. They're like, oh, they're, but then they don't know how to analyze a property.
Right.
They don't know what to
Ooh.
do when they go with a contractor to the property and the contractor is walking it and you don't, you're looking at things. So when he sends it back to you, you're like, is this right? I don't think I need to do this. Because when I look at all of I take stuff out that I don't want done.
Those restrictions again, those limits
Yeah,
give
I
you
don't
vision and
need
get
you
you
to.
focused.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
exactly what I want this house to look like.
Uh,
And most of my contractors know that, but it's sometimes like I had a contractor one time I was working on a property and I was flipping a home and I came to look at it. The home was beautiful. I noticed. I said, and this is my first time working with him. I said, bro, why didn't you change out the faceplates? The cover, the faceplates of all the, outlets and all that. Yeah, and I'm like, he was like, oh, that wasn't in the. So I could have gotten upset, or I could have used it as a teachable moment, and I used it as a teachable moment because I said, don't ever let that happen again. I mean, how you gonna fix it up that nice? But we got dark,
rusty yellow,
multicolored faceplates. I'm like, what in the world will make you think that's okay? But evidently, other people he dealt with didn't care about that. But I'm very meticulous because I know these properties are going to be lived in by people. So you learn those type of things. You know what I mean? Like even with staging, some people are of the ilk of staging the property after you flip it with furniture and all that. I've learned that most of them don't need furniture because one of the things is hard for people to view their furniture while your furniture's in there.
Oh wow!
You know what I mean?
I've never thought about that. Like,
if I got a bunch of furniture in there, I don't know what their furniture looks like. They may have less, they may have more. So you let them figure it out. But you stage it to the point where you have flowers, you have this in the room, and you show them what the room can do, but not really putting a lot of stuff in there. So I had to learn that myself. Because one of my realtors was like, "No, we don't really." I was like, "Nah, we really need to put some furniture in there because I wanted it." But I had to lean on him. So we had a conversation. Yeah, he had a conversation with me, and I was like, you know what? That makes sense. That makes sense. So
I heard
that's what I'm doing.
Smell good. You want plenty of lighting.
Right.
That's a really cool tip about not necessarily putting your impressions on there too much, where it's hard for that end buyer to see. But that's
because we want to, because it makes us feel good,
Right. Yeah. You got it. That ego, that emotion again. Hey, Derek, you really said some really cool stuff about speaking to a realtor and having knowing what a lot of investors call their buy box. Like the way it reminded me of you talking is like if you go to a job interview or a job and say, hey, I just want a job. Are you hiring? Like, what do you want to do? Whatever y'all got. Like, come on, what? So like if you go into a realtor or you go into anybody in partnership, knowing what you need or what you want is going to again put those limits on there, help you be able to see, and that's part of your system right there. So that's a gold nugget, a couple gold nuggets that you dropped right there. So why real estate investing, man? You seem like a super intelligent, super hardworking person who would be successful in almost any area. Why? What do you like about real estate investing that makes it what you put your hat on?
If I could, let me just go back to when I first started. When I was young, my first business I started was at 12. I was cutting, and I grew up in Philadelphia, so I was cutting this a lot. And I lived in the North Philadelphia, which is the ghetto, right? On my block, for some reason, there was a piano moving company. It's the weirdest thing. And nobody had a piano, but they put this in. It was the craziest thing, a piano moving company. So they had a lot between there and my house. And the lot was overgrown. And the guy was like, yeah, I'll pay you like $250 to cut this lot down. I was like 12. And he gave me a machete, which is dangerous for a 12-year-old. I don't condone that. but at any rate, so I'm cutting it down, and I'm like, yo, this is a lot. So then I said, I know somebody who needs some money. One of the kids across the street was like a couple years younger than me. I said, hey, listen, man, I'm going to give you $100, to cut this lot down. And he started working on it. And so I just kept the difference. So we worked that out. So I knew that was what I wanted to do. So fast forward to when I moved to North Carolina. Fast forward, moved from Philly to North Carolina. I came down here to go to school, but then entrepreneurial bug just hit me so hard. And then I ran into two other gentlemen who wanted to do a cleaning service. And I was like, man, I can run a business. Yeah, I don't know how to clean houses or restaurants, but y'all can show me. So we started a cleaning service. Oh, wow. The cleaning service is called CB&H, Cheshire, Bailey, and Hankins. It's still around today, but it's now turned into a multi-million-dollar construction cleanup company. Well, my friends
said it like it was small. Now it just turned into a multi. That sounds pretty big.
Listen. Yeah. His vision was way better than mine because I jumped out of the business before he got to that point. Because I didn't want to clean him. Yeah, I got out. I was like, yeah, I don't want to clean no more. So he did it for a few more years and pivoted. You hear me use that word pivot a lot. It's a very important word. You need to learn to pivot. But so then when I was looking, I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to do real estate, but I didn't know. And by happenstance, I ran into a guy that I knew, and I was like, "Hey, man, you know anybody who does real estate?" And he put me in contact with this gentleman who became my mentor, and it was amazing. I was there. I was flipping homes in Durham, North Carolina, downtown Durham, and it was crazy because those homes were like 25, and I was selling them for like 125, 130, putting like 20,
Mm.
25 into them, making a killing. And he showed me how to flip one house. I was I was working third shift as a data center operator, running a data center for an insurance company, and I was going every day. I was working third shift, so in the morning I was going to, flip the houses. I stayed with him every day, looking at that. I flipped one house, and after that, he didn't need to show me how to do it anymore.
Hey,
One,
that
because
is
I
powerful.
looked at every piece of paperwork. I listened to what he said about the lenders, because I had to figure all that out myself. He was like, "Okay, this is what
Okay.
you do." So after the first property I ever sold, $23,000. I was so excited. I said, "That's what's going to be in my
Wow.
account." And when it got there, I just kept looking at it.
I
Next
couldn't
week,
believe
I went out and bought two. He was like, "Ho, ho, ho, what you doing? What you doing?" I showed him the
it.
numbers. I showed him the numbers. He was like,
Right.
"I couldn't have bought them better than that."
Well,
So we
hey.
became partners,
Oh, that is
you know,
smooth.
start doing bigger things. But then the crash hit, and that led me to some other things. But, you know, I just really feel like real estate investing is one of the things that I can get behind. And I love, like, I'll be honest with you, I don't know how people feel about Trump. I'm not saying yay, nay for him or whatever. But I read his book, Art of the Deal,
Hmm.
and it really put me on fire. The things that he thought about doing with these huge edifices and things, I was like, wow, what if I could do something like that? So that kept stoking, and I just kept reading
Yeah.
books. I'm an avid reader, as you see. I put books up here.
Yeah.
You know, um, I have it like now when I talk to people about what I do. I tell them before you want to do real estate, why don't you read Cash Flow Quadrant? Because you need to get your
Absolutely. Robert
mind right
Kiyosaki.
to be able, yeah, Robert Kiyosaki. So, and then, another book will bless you, and I'm not going to take up too much more time, but The Warren Buffett Way. The
Warren
Warren
Buffett
Buffett
way.
Way is a
Uh,
book that will bless you because when you
I'm
look
gonna
at
get
it,
that.
it's his way of teaching you how cycles go. So people always
Okay.
ask me the question, well, what about this? What's happening now? What's about happening in real estate now? Blah, blah, blah. Read that book and it'll give you some insight about how cycles work in general,
Mm.
you
I'm
know.
gonna pick up both of
So
those. The Warren Buffett way are the deal. Yeah, then what you're saying, yeah, you said pivot and how that's such a pivotal part of things to be able to do, and of course perseverance is so important. But it reminds me of that Eric Hoffer quote, like he says, "In times of change, learners inherit the earth, while the learned
that's
find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with the world that no longer exists." If you are fixed and think that you got it, and you're no
that's
longer
awesome.
learning, then
Yes.
that's decay. That's when it starts setting in. So constantly continuing to learn with, especially books where you can leverage someone's 30,
Yes.
40 some odd years experience condensed to a. I can't believe that some people don't never read again after college or high school.
Yeah,
It
after
really
high
it
school,
just
college, they
boggles my
just,
mind.
and it's amazing because, you know, I've been married 20 years, and I look on my
Oh, congrats.
bookshelf in my office right here. Half of it is my books, but half of them are my wife's books. And
Uh,
I never looked at any of the, I never thought about buying any of the books that she has. And I was like, let me start reading some of these books because she's from corporate world. My wife's an engineer. She's from the
okay.
corporate world. So I said, I can learn something from that. It don't have to be a business book. Corporate is business too. So,
Yeah.
just making sure that and another thing is surrounding yourself with people that are like minded.
Hmm.
If you want to be great at something, you're not going to hang around people who just talk. You want to hang
Right.
around the people who do what they say they're going to do
I
and
dig
have
it.
been doing it,
Oh, I dig
not
it, brother.
just
I
talking.
dig it, man. Oh, man, I dig it. Finding a mentor, making sure you have your uh, setting. limits that don't restrict you, but actually give you freedom by knowing what you want to do, surrounding yourself with people who are doing it as well, and being a lifelong learner. There's nuggets that I'm getting from this conversation with you, but I have to ask now. I think I've told you before. I may have been wearing my just married shirt when I met you a couple weeks ago, but I'm just married. You just
Yes,
mentioned
sir.
your wonderful partner. So, what advice can you give to folks who are power couples who want to be power couples when it comes to doing this thing? I call it sort of like shoulder to shoulder sometimes, of course sometimes
Mm-hmm.
face to face, and sometimes back to back when you're doing your own thing. And any advice you can give me and any
Yes,
newlyweds and been there for a long time or aspiring to
yes.
be.
So a couple things. So one thing I'll say is, like I said before, know your limitations. You know, my wife is a technical person. She's an engineer. She has a master's in engineering, not just a BA in engineering, but a master's in engineering also. So, she thinks different than I do. I'm more of a I'm more of a guy, a business minded guy who does, so
Mm,
know your limitations and what other people bring to the table. Your
mm,
spouse can help you in so many different ways. When you marry somebody, you don't usually marry them because they're the exact same as you. You may think they're the exact same, but you'll find out through the marriage that hey, I think different in this way. Like in our company, the Durbin Group LLC, I do most of the flipping and all that stuff like that. My wife comes in and she keeps things, the books and things of this nature, and makes sure that I'm keeping things on track because she's better at that than me. It
mm,
doesn't make me feel any less than of course I know how to do certain things, but my thought process is over here, over here, over here, and she's like, okay, the accountant said this, we need to do this, think about it like this, and I say, okay, yeah, you're right, I need to bring it back in and bring it back in, so a partnership is what it is. Even if she's not on the LLC, it doesn't even matter all that. But a partnership, if you want a successful business, bring your spouse into it with you to let
mm.
them know what you are doing,
Okay.
even if they're not
Mm,
interested. My wife, she's not into real estate like I am because she loves her job. She manages other engineers. But when it comes to our business, she likes what we're doing,
yeah.
because it allows us to do other things, like help people with our foundation and things of this nature. So, being married is a plus. And sometimes people have communication issues. You're going to have that. Doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter. Just come together and have just honest conversations.
Yeah, that's what's up. Leverage I mean, the partnership becoming one anyways. You need to leverage that power that you guys have with each other. I appreciate that. So, Derek, how can people, if they want to reach out and connect with you, before you leave some last words and wisdom and advice, how can they connect with you if they want to chat with you later on outside of
Yeah,
this?
I don't really have business cards. I don't deal with the public as much, but my email address is the Dervin Group at gmail.com. That's DERVINGROUP at gmail.com. Reach out to me, send me an email, and then we'll talk a little bit through email. Then we'll exchange contact information. I'm really willing to help a lot of people. I do not mind. You know, you can also my number. Well, I'll let you reach out to court. Well, I tell you what. If you send me an email and we start talking and things, then we'll exchange contact information. I just don't want to,
Absolutely.
let give out the digits yet.
No, I understand that. I completely understand that, the Durvine Group, and we'll at gmail.com, and we'll make sure those are in the show notes as well. Folks, if you have any interest in real estate investing in North Carolina, and we didn't even talk about some other ventures. He has some awesome ideas and plans and things that he's doing. He's not sitting on his hand at all. He's already, as you notice, has nailed these different niches, which allows him to expand out. So even if you're not thinking about real estate, there's a lot of different opportunities that he may be able to support you with. So I highly encourage you to reach out. Is there any last words or anything? I want to be respectful of your time, but any last words or things you might say to folks or encourage folks or leave folks with?
Well, I just like to say, real estate is fun. You know, it can be stressful, but it's only however you look at things. You know, let it be fun. whatever business and whatever the part of real estate you get into, make sure it's something that makes you happy that you can do every day. Don't chase after the money. The money will come. Don't chase after the money. The money will come, and but if you're happy to get up, like every morning I get up and I say, "Wow, I can look at these houses. I enjoy it. You know, I enjoy it." But if you can't say that, then that's probably not for you because you don't want to buy a job or buy stress.
Mm. Got to have some fuel to keep it going when those challenging times come. Well, Derek Hankins, I really appreciate it. I'm going to stop the stream, but I still want to stay on and chat with you and all. So, folks, dervinegroup@gmail.com, Derek Hankins. I always, on my Life and Transition Experts podcast, the same way, asking folks and encouraging folks to let their light shine. So cheers.